People like Tim Walz are extremely rare in Washington. He didn't go to some fancy school, he doesn't have a law degree, and he's not a millionaire.
It seems like elected officials are always surrounded by lots of people, staff, other lawmakers. What is the last thing that you did truly out in the public, truly by yourself?
I went to Menards and bought an air filter for my furnace.
He's a working class guy, a high school football coach, a union member, and a veteran. When he coached middle school basketball, he secretly lowered the hoop and convinced his team that he could dunk. And as governor of Minnesota, he swatted away all the shots taken at him.
They scream socialism. We just build roads and we build schools and we build prosperity into this.
He just keeps his head down and focuses on getting shit done. As Walz joins a White House ticket, we wanted to delve into his past to better understand who he is, given that he could, soon just be one heartbeat away from the presidency. Here's the lowdown on Tim Walz.
We have a government right now and a Congress that is simply committed to large corporations. The vast majority of the tax cuts have gone to the upper class. The Forbes 400 list contains nothing but billionaires now, when the average American worker is feeling pinched on this. I don't have to rebut or say anything. I live that. I, on a teacher's salary, understand what's happening.
After serving in the military and 20 years as a public school teacher, Walz was elected to Congress as the highest-ranking enlisted soldier. In his first week on the job, he voted to lower prescription drug prices for seniors, and he co-sponsored a bill to raise the minimum wage.
We stood up for hardworking families and approved a minimum wage increase, which will give 13 million Americans the pay raise they deserve.
Throughout his career in Congress, Walz had the approval of every major labor union, from the AFL-CIO to the Teamsters to the UAW. And when he took over as governor of Minnesota in 2018, his pro-union policies only expanded.
Minnesota was going to ban that practice of having those captive anti-union meetings. You go to jail now if you do that in Minnesota, because you can't intimidate people.
Under his leadership, Minnesota banned anti-union captive audience meetings, non-compete agreements, and significantly expanded leverage for workers in meatpacking plants, warehouses, schools, and more.
I have to tell you, in my first campaign for Congress, in a debate, my opponent came at me and said, "Tim is in the pocket of organized labor." And I popped back up, I said, "That is a damn lie. I am the pocket." And it seemed to me that if he was attacking me for standing up for collective bargaining, for fair wages, for safe working conditions, for apprenticeship programs, for health care, and for retirement, I'd roll the dice on that thing and see how it went. And it worked out pretty well. So,
after teaching social studies and supervising the lunchroom for 20 years, Walz saw something he knew he needed to fix. Quote, "It wasn't unusual to see students go without lunch for days at a time," Walz said. "Of course, many of us teachers would help students cover the cost on our own dime. But if kids didn't have lunch money, you could bet they probably came to school without breakfast either." So last year, Walz signed a law guaranteeing free breakfast and lunch for all Minnesota students.
it is now law.
He also signed a law enacting paid family and medical leave, giving workers up to 20 weeks off.
None of these things are extreme. Go out and ask people if they want paid family medical leave. And you know who else wants paid family medical leave? Small employers who don't have it. You know who already offers it? All those Fortune 500 companies.
He signed into law a financial aid program giving free college tuition to students whose families made less than $80,000 a year. The law had such a great impact that North Dakota State University began offering the same incentive. Walz also signed a bill banning junk fees that businesses use to arbitrarily jack up prices.
And people can make an informed decision whether they're going to buy something, but I think all of us have seen this, especially online, this idea of seeing a price and then by the end of it, there's all kinds of things been added on to it. We passed a nice piece of legislation and signed that down at First Avenue around Ticketmaster and some of the things around concerts, and this just extends to a lot of that.
In 2020, Walz also pushed for and signed the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, which capped insulin prices at $35. He signed another law creating a prescription drug affordability board to rein in out-of-control drug costs more broadly. Walz also issued an order eliminating the classist 4-year degree requirements for most state jobs. And after vetoing a bill setting minimum pay and benefits for rideshare drivers last year, Walz and legislators struck a deal with drivers and rideshare firms in May, increasing their pay and adding the strongest insurance provision for rideshare drivers in the US. The Minnesota Uber and Lyft Drivers Association told us Walz did a wonderful job, and then they endorsed him for vice president. Unlike J.D. Vance, Walz has built a career of sticking up for the working class, labor unions, and those living on the margins. Plus, he's also just a totally normal guy. And in this election, I think normal is something to strive for.